Yeah, sorry Shadowstar, I'm borrowing your title. However, you are the inspiration for this video. So, a while ago, a user named Shadowstar1224 decided to do a review series of videos that gave negative reviews to the game Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, unlike him, Shadow the Hedgehog is not my favorite Sonic game. I prefer the adventure games in Sonic 2 over it. However, I still find it to be a pretty good game. But I decided to do what he did for the 10th anniversary. So, anyway, for the first one, I'm talking about Armanditto. I hope I pronounced that name right. So, this guy is to give the basic overview of a lot of complaints, and I will continue to do this for the rest of the year. Let's start.
Before I even start this review, I just want to get something out there right now. If you like this game for whatever reason, and are going to get mad at me for not liking it, I'm just going to tell you right now, I don't like it. So, I don't want another Sonic Heroes situation where I complain about this video game and do a review of it and about how bad it is, and then everybody and their mother leaves a comment telling me that I'm a terrible person because I don't like the game. Like, I don't want that. So I'm warning you now. You have been warned. I do not like this game. So if you still sit here, you watch the review, and you decide to post a comment telling me how much I suck because I don't like this game, then just know that, first of all, you've been warned, and second, if you're not going to respect my opinion, I'm not going to respect yours.
Oh yes, the "it's my opinion, I can say whatever I want" card. Also, the fact that you told me to leave gives me the impression that you don't have enough confidence in your responses to counter everyone else's responses. Should I continue?
So, that's all there is to it. Let's actually start this thing now. After Sonic Heroes left many fans and critics feeling a little underwhelmed, Sega didn't know what to do. And clearly they didn't afterwards either, because their next major console outing was Shadow the Hedgehog in 2005. Shadow as a character is one of the most controversial in the whole series, but it's hard to deny his popularity. That's why they brought him back in Heroes. So I guess they felt the need to explain why he's suddenly not dead and make a game about him.
Well, to be fair, Shadow coming back in Heroes was kind of weird, and in addition to that, the narrative of Heroes was rather weak, so making a whole game dedicated to it can, 1, give something that the fans of the character will really like, and 2, explain stuff that wasn't answered. What's wrong with that?
Since the market was also getting more into grittier shooting games, Sega also decided to try something different by taking Shadow into a darker direction with guns and swearing.
Well, for one, I don't think the narrative and all that in Shadow is dark, it's just juvenile. And anyway, keep in mind that Sonic in and of himself, and the series in general, was made to pretty much be cool. And at the time, shooters and all that were considered cool. It is a bit weird because, well, the series had been around for so long, but it is part of the series to try to be cool and remain relevant. It's weird, but it's kinda just part of it.
With guns and swearing. Yes, this is as completely stupid as it sounds.
Why? Because it's not your idea of how the series should be? I mean, keep in mind, when Sonic originally came out, the bright, colorful Mario-like platformers were the big popular thing, and when Shadow came out, third-person shooters were the thing. It's just how the series has worked. For better or for worse.
So, let's take a look at Shadow the Hedgehog, starting with one of the worst parts, the story.
Should I have expected anything different? Because I don't. Generally, whenever a Sonic game has a story that isn't just bad jokes constantly being spat out, it gets criticized for pretty much not being like an old Genesis game. But let's listen to what he has to say.
Now, the story in this game is so convoluted and hard to follow that I'm just going to try to briefly explain it, so here it goes. Basically, Shadow still has amnesia after Sonic Heroes and can't remember who he is. Meanwhile, a group of aliens known as the Black Arms, ran by Black Doom, are trying to take over the planet. Black Doom claims that he knows the secrets of Shadow's past, and tells him he'll help him discover them if Shadow agrees to do their bidding. While this is going on, Gun and the President are also trying to stop the Black Arms, as well as Shadow himself. The leader of Gun, the Gun Commander, seriously, he doesn't have a name, apparently has a personal vendetta against Shadow because he was a childhood friend of Maria and had a thing for her and blames Shadow for her death or something like that. And then, while all this is going on, Shadow keeps having flashbacks about the past and has to find the Chaos Emeralds and hope that they can help him in some way. In the end, it turned out Black Doom played a part in the creation of Shadow with the help of Gerald Robotnik from Sonic Adventure 2. Since the game has the gimmick of being able to pick your path, be it good, evil, or neutral, the story changes depending on the path you take, but literally none of the story elements add up.
Well, yeah, that's how a choose-your-own-adventure game works. In addition to that, having a lot of paths means there's a lot of ways it can go. I don't know why people have such a problem with the fact that some endings might not be true. I mean, keep in mind, there's plenty of places it can go, and in addition to that, while the overall story and trying to connect every single thing doesn't really work due to the nature of how the story is played through a choose-your-own-adventure style, overall, you just have a basic setup and you just kind of see where it goes from there. In addition to that, many of the paths don't really contradict one another, so I don't see why it's a problem.
There's over 300 different possible storylines. Yes, they actually expect you to play this game over 300 times, and not one of them makes sense.
No, you only have to play the game 10 times. There are over 300 ways it can go. This is a good thing for this type of play style. What? What's the big problem? You only have to play it 10 times. It's a good thing. Lying to the audience. You gotta love it.
1 minute, Shadow's floating in space with Black Doom. The next, he's in some ruins or hacking into a computer with Espio or at a circus with Tails. Like, what? What's even going on anymore? The Sonic series has never been known for its amazing storytelling skills, but at least in the adventure games, the stories were easy to follow, even if they were stupid. And Sonic Heroes, while it had an awful and very little story, it was at least consistent. This game just throws different plot lines at you all the time. It's too busy trying to justify its own existence to actually tell a decent story.
Okay, first off, you took a lot of those levels out of context. For example, the Tails level, you don't follow, that doesn't come after doing the Espio level. He's just randomly putting levels in any order to make it seem like this happens. Second of all, while this is pretty common for a choose-your-own-adventure story, and again, it is the style, but let's look at it from this perspective. Each linear story is pretty well self-contained, but you're just kind of pretty much going off of the non-knowledge of everyone else, just hoping that they'll listen to you. In addition to that, the other stories, well, with the exception of Heroes, were pretty good. Lying.
Basing a game on Shadow isn't the worst idea ever. He's an interesting enough character with an interesting enough story, in my opinion, but instead of just telling the story we know from Adventure 2, they create all these plot holes that weren't in that game and just create a mess of a story. Every stage ends and begins with a cutscene, and in-stage dialogue also occasionally involves story element. There's just too much going on. I can honestly say, without exaggeration, that Shadow the Hedgehog has the absolute worst story in any Sonic game. Worse than Sonic Chronicles, worse than Sonic 06, worse than any of the Riders games. Shadow is bad.
While I will admit the story is really confusing, and it is one of the big problems I have with the game overall, I wouldn't go so far to say it's downright bad as much as it's just kind of weird. And in addition to that, the way you word it is, well, you make it sound like because a lot of these things are in it, it's downright bad because it's in it, not so much the execution. Call me crazy, but this seems to be really common. That fans can't really seem to figure out what's wrong with something, so they just pick something superficial and then just say it just naturally can't work.
But hey, the fun doesn't stop there. Let's talk about the gameplay now.
And so we shall. In part 2. Now, for those watching, let me know what you think of this, and let me know of any ways I could improve. Because this will be a series, my friends. See you next time.